Hi, I'm Tim Bartz, Internet Sales Manager here at Long MacArthur Ford, Salina, Kansas, your source for Ford news, update, and information, including your Bronco and Bronco Sport information on a Wednesday for our Built Wild Wednesday video series. If you're not already following our channel, make sure you subscribe with the bell notification turned on so you don't miss any of our videos. In today's video, we kind of want to talk a little bit about the Bronco. Now, we are in the middle of 26 model year, and Job 2 has just launched. The order guide just came out this week. Build and price is already up as well. I'm going to pull that up and kind of show us this. We're going to go through some of these things. But in kind of talking about this, we did talk about some of those changes last week. And of course, they weren't in effect. They weren't in the order guide yet or pricing or anything else like that. So we'll look at that this week a little bit. But I want to talk about like 7 things that I just kind of are on my mind about the Bronco. And really, to be honest, Ford was already way ahead of us in a way of configuration. So we just saw the Job 2 just launch. But to be honest, 27 model year has already been decided for us. Ford already knows what the 27 model year is going to look like. They already know what the configuration is going to be. They know what trim levels are going to be. They know what engines are going to be, and everything else has already been determined for 27 model year, which probably we won't see the order guides until October, but they have already been decided already. So what we say in this, Ford probably won't get, but in time for the 27 model year, but it is something we could probably look at, and hopefully they can see and know what the Bronco community is looking at. And what inspired me to kind of talk about this is some of the feedback and some of the comments that I'm seeing on like forums like Bronco 6G and some of the Bronco Nation forums and such like that, where I'm seeing people kind of talk about some of the things that they hate that they did away with this, or that they had issues with that and everything. So I thought, well, let's kind of talk about those, in a kind of a way that we can maybe communicate with them, and almost like we're in a room just saying, hey, this is what I like to see, right? So this is what I'm going to do. Ford, this is what I like to see as a Ford dealer here in the middle of Kansas, and a Ford owner, proud Ford Bronco owner, I should say. And I love my Bronco. I take it off-roading many times. I go to Bronco events 2 or 3 a year. And I love this community, and I love this model. I love this product, and I want to continue to see it thrive. And here's just some things that in my mind, I like to see in this video. So let's get into it. First off, let's kind of pull up the build and price. And this is for 26 model year as we were talking about this. As you can see, the 26 model year configuration and layout right now is you get the base Bronco, and these are prices before destination, $40,495, available in 2-door or 4-door. Big Ben available in 4-door only for $40,995, so $500, and you're basically getting a wheel upgrade. Outer Banks, $48,090, a big jump there. So you're just right around 50,000 with destination. Again, only available in 4-door as well. And by the way, Big Ben and Base only available in the 2.3 liter engine, right? No 2.7. Badlands really only $800 more than the Outer Banks, but it is not standard mid package. So that's different between the Outer Banks and that. Also available in 2-door or 4-door at $48,890. So $50,890 with destination. And so, by the way, we'll get into Sasquatch and such in just a little bit. Heritage Edition, just a little bit more than that, $51,625, but it does come standard with the mid package and standard Sasquatch, where you're not getting that with the standard Badlands. And then for big jump here to $69,995, you get a Stroppe 4-door configuration for this year. So last year, the Stroppe Edition was available 2-door only, and it started at $74,900. So they've lowered the price $5,000 for this year and gave us a 4-door configuration instead of a 2-door configuration. And I do think the Stroppe is a little misunderstood by a lot of people. And if you don't know the history behind it, you might be going, I don't get that paint scheme. I don't understand that. It really is all about Stroppe and the Stroppe Edition right there. And then, of course, we do have the Raptor, the ultimate of the ultimate Broncos. Raptor, yeah, it's great. 4-door configuration, $79,995. It comes standard with a 3.0 liter V6 engine. By the way, Stroppe is with the 2.7 liter engine right there. Last year, it was the only way to get a 2-door with a 2.7 liter as well. Heritage Edition, I think, is available in 2.7. I can't remember. I'll have to look into that. But what I want to go through is kind of 7 things that I'd like to see. And first off, I want to talk about the configurations going across there and, different things that we've seen. So this is our current lineup for 26 model year and what we have. Now, in the past, we've seen a couple trim levels that are no longer available. Now, Base actually went away for a couple years, and out of popular demand, it came back. And I'm someone that I guess I didn't care whether or not it came back or not. But what I would like to see and what I think what they should do is make the Big Ben available in 2-door. And I think they should do away with the Base. And here's my thought process on that is your $500 difference here. Basically the only difference between a Base and a Big Ben. Now, by the way, in 25, Big Ben came standard with the mid package, so it was a little bit more money. But then within the model year last year, they switched it to where the mid package wasn't standard equipment anymore. Well, if the mid package isn't standard, then Big Ben should be your base trim, should be your starting out, and it should be right at that price of $40,995. And then if you want steelies, great. Let's make a steel wheel option that gives you a discount of $500 and gives you the steel wheel instead of the gray wheel. Also, again, available in 2-door or 4-door. So we're going to get in 2-door and what I like to see there. But that's kind of what I'd like to, some things I'd see. One of the things that we did see a couple of years ago that has been very popular. A lot of people are upset that it's not still available, and that's the Everglades trim level. And I think the reason it appealed to a lot of people was because it was based off of a Big Ben mid package with the Sasquatch package, but it had a very different look. It gave you the snorkel, it gave you the winch on the front, and it had a different wheel. So that wheel wasn't available on a Sasquatch package. That gray wheel was in fact, a lot of people, when they did away with Everglades and they made that wheel the standard wheel on the Sasquatch, for about a year, I called it the Sasquatch or the Everglades wheel. I think we all did, right? I want that Everglades wheel because people really like that wheel design. And so we did see that trim level. A lot of people like that. It'd be really cool to see that come back in a sense. I like the squared off fender flares, and I was a big fan of that trim level. I liked it, but I did not like the snorkel. That was just the one thing that was stopping me from that one is that snorkel there. I like the 2.3. A lot of people wanted it to become available in the 2.7, but we never really did see that. Wildtrak is also one that was its own trim level for several years, available in 2-door and 4-door. Of course, they did away with the 2-door at one point, and it was only available in 4-door. And then in 2025, did away with it altogether. And I think the reason they did that was because it was really like a Badlands trim. Because if you looked at it, basically it was when they added the black appearance package to the Badlands, they didn't feel like they needed that trim level, because basically what a Wildtrak was a standard 2.7 liter, 10-speed auto. It was black appearance, right? It got the Haas 3.0 suspension, a couple years in, which is how you were able to get that. When they added that to the Badlands, they didn't feel like they needed that trim level, right? Standard Sasquatch as well. And that's basically, you can configure your Badlands, a 25 model year and even early 26. You didn't need a Wildtrak package like they have now, because you could already order all those things. So in fact, let's get into that. I want to kind of talk about this Wildtrak package here that's available. And so what comes with this package? So if you look, Wildtrak package is $11,945, right? And you get, let's go into this you're getting the 2.7 liter EcoBoost, 10-speed automatic, Sasquatch package, Haas 3.0 with the Fox internal bypass dampers, and you get black appearance package as well. It's still going to be cloth top. You can add the shadow black roof, I think $600 maybe or something for that. But that is that package. Well, let's add that package and see what it does to our price down here. And we might have to, my pictures covering it, but it's $63,920 for the Wildtrak package. Now let's take that off, right? And now let's add the Sasquatch package, which is part of that, right? Let's go back up here and add the 2.7, which is $3,000. Get you automatic because it's $3,000 with the automatic transmission, right? Also, let's add the black appearance package because that's basically what that is. And then if we go ahead and add the Haas 3.0, which is a standalone option as long as you have Sasquatch on the Badlands. So if we go down here and add that as well, it's $2,300. You're $64,070. So by going with the Wildtrak package, you only save $100. I think would be really cool to see on that Wildtrak package. Give us some Wildtrak graphics on the side, right? Add that to it. Make it the package worth it, right? Make it the same price it is. Add the graphics. Would be kind of like, it'd be kind of cool to see. So you have that Wildtrak graphics. You've had it for years. Give us a Wildtrak, graphics on the side. I don't even care if you leave the Big Ben graphics, because most people are doing what I did, and they're taking that sticker off anyway on their vehicle. But that'd be really cool to see. I can't tell if they're adding rock rails on this or not, but hopefully it's coming standard with. It should come standard with that, right, on the Badlands. But that's kind of my take on that package. And so there you go. All right, now go back a little bit. Something else. Talking about another thing I want to talk about is going back just a little bit backwards. I didn't mean to do this, but Outer Banks. I think Outer Banks has lost a little love from the Bronco brand because if you look at the color choices we have, they're not very appetizing right here. We have one that's not a gray, white, or a black, right? And that's the ruby red. And that's kind of sad to see. There are two colors that are available on the Bronco lineup and other trim levels, but they're not available in the Outer Banks. And I'd love for Ford to tell us why, but your Velocity Blue, it's not available in the Outer Banks. Orange Fury, new color for for job 2. That is not available in the Outer Banks either. I can get it on a Big Ben. I even get it on a Base and a Badlands, but I cannot get it on an Outer Banks. Please tell me why. I'm confused by that one there. But I'd like to see, give us a little more color. People that want this Outer Banks, usually they want that Outer Banks because they want that more the body colored fender flares, the mirror caps. I would like to also see them bring back the body colored door handles. I don't quite understand that either. Give us those door handles back. That kind of thing. But those are some things I'd like to see them do to the Outer Banks trim level to keep that around right there. And then, of course, speaking of two-door, let's talk about that. I kind of bypassed that earlier, but I think that doing away with the base so that it looks like this, allowing for the two-door in the Big Ben, I think you should allow for the two-door on the Outer Banks. Maybe we won't see that. I could kind of probably get around that. Two-door on the Badlands, right? And I think you need to bring back the two-door Heritage Edition. Heritage Edition is a great trim level. A lot of people like it. What people like is that this is probably the cheapest way you can get a Sasquatch package on a trim. Is for $51,625. You're getting standard Sasquatch, standard mid package, basically. And so that's a great way of going. But the Heritage Edition is all about remembering the heritage of the past, right? And the Broncos started out as a two-door. So let's bring back the two-door Heritage Edition. A lot of people, I think the community would like to see that. There are people that have a two-door Heritage that are like, cool, I got one of a few vehicles, because a lot of people, you can't get that now. And a lot of people are using that and saying, I have something special, right? Because they're not doing it anymore. People want that. So it'd be nice to see that. Something else that I think probably is going to go away after this year. I think that Stroppe Edition is probably run its time. Although it's just new, just too many people just don't understand it. And so I think because of, I think we'll see, but sales midway through the year on the Stroppe, how many people are ordering the four-door configuration, I think we'll probably see that the desire for that is very low. And because of that, we'll probably see that go away. I know last year as a dealer, they were begging us to put in Stroppe orders. They said, we have availability to make more Stroppes, put in your Stroppe orders. And they were trying to get dealers to put those in. I will tell you, we got 2 Stroppes that were ordered. One sold right away. The people that bought it, they knew the nostalgia. They knew the history behind Stroppe. And they went, in fact, and even toured Wayne Smeckel's his collection with all the old Stroppes with their Stroppe. They drove their new Stroppe from the dealership here and went and checked it out. And so that's really fun. They knew and understood that. The other one, It really did not. It sat here. We discounted. In fact, we had ours lower than $70,000 before Ford discounted and changed the price for 26 model year. But it did sell to somebody that is a big Denver Broncos fan, actually. So it worked out really well because he understood the history on it as well. But I think a lot of people don't understand it, which is why I think that one probably is on its way out for the model year. Anyway, so then of course Raptor. I think Raptor is good where it's at. 79. I think maybe we should lower the price a little bit, maybe 75. Of course, I think they all should be lower, right? Because I'm about due for another Bronco. I am waiting. RTR is coming. So let's talk about that. 27 model year RTR Bronco is coming around. It's going to be coming out. Don't know. I've been told it's going to be its own trim level. I'd actually like to see it be. I think Ford should simplify it down to a Big Bend, an Outer Banks, a Badlands, a Heritage Edition, and then a Raptor. So that gives you 5. Simplify it, 5 trim levels. I think RTR will probably end up being its own trim level because it gets its own grill, dedicated grill. It gets its own fender flare. And for that reason, I think is why it won't be a package on the Big Bend, but instead be its own trim level, which will probably give us at least 6 trim levels next year. But that's probably where that's at. 6 I probably could get around, but we'll see that. I'm a big fan of the RTR, by the way, and no disrespect to it whatsoever. I really like it, and it is not just a graphics package. This is a performance vehicle, and that might be one that is on my radar if, I'm looking to maybe get a vehicle late 27, possibly 28, depends on what 28 looks like. And RTR would probably be on my radar. I'm thinking RTR with the Sasquatch package. I really like the look of it. And what I like better about that is the performance that you get on that vehicle. It's not just the squared fender flares and a nice wheel and tire and everything else. You're getting the Haas 3.0 suspension if you're Sasquatch. You're getting the upgraded cooling system. You're getting the anti-lag system that you don't get as standard equipment. And I'm a huge fan of the 2.3 liter engine. So I'm a big fan of Von Gittin as well in the RTR Bronco. So I really do like that package. Some people don't like the loud graphics on the side, but I believe there's going to be a graphics delete option. So anyway, we'll probably see that. But yeah, so there you go. There's that. Also, for 27 model year, they probably, I'm assuming, will do away with the freewheeling package. We haven't had anybody at the dealership order that package since early 25. Nobody's ordered it for 26 yet for us. I don't think there are a lot of people that are buying that one. Again, a misunderstood Bronco. People knew the heritage of the, 78, 79, the Sunset Edition. Bronco would probably get around that, but a lot of people just don't understand it. And for that reason, I don't think it's selling real well. And I think the Black Diamond package probably should go away. Ford, let's just instead on the Big Bend, we don't need a Black Diamond package, but what we need is what I want to talk about next. And lastly, and that is options. Let's get back to some standalone options that make sense for Bronco owners. And one of those is a rear locker. So I have a 21 Bronco Big Bend that I ordered mid-package. I have a standalone option rear locker. It was like a $795 option. I have the auxiliary switches, which is an option. A lot of people want the auxiliary switches. I don't want to have to pay $4,500 to get a rear locker auxiliary switches and the other stuff. I do like the Black Diamond stuff, the rock rails, things like that. I don't care for the wheel. But really the main reason that somebody would do that, like we ordered some Big Bend Black Diamonds because I wanted some rear lockers in stock on our lot. But they're not selling. Why? Because now that takes that price over $50,000 and it's just crazy. Well, it's taken in the mid 40s, but with your destination, you're almost a Badlands price, right? So anyway, I like to see, let's go back to giving us some standalone rear locker options, because actually, in my opinion, every Bronco should come standard with a rear locker at least. But let's make it an option. It's an option on an F-150. I can get a rear locker on an F-150. It doesn't matter what trim level it is. It doesn't matter what engine I have. I can do a rear locker on that electronic locking gear ratio for an F-150. Let's do it to the Bronco. Let's even make it standard equipment. let's go all in there. Also, the auxiliary switches, I think, is something else a lot of people would like to see too. And the LED, lights, I picked that. It was one of the options that I picked. But having some of those options would be great. And I think a lot of people would like to see on the two-door as well. I think they're looking for a two-door cloth top. So maybe, I don't know. I'm asking for a lot here, but anyway, so there you go. Well, that's what I have for this video. Just some thoughts that I had, and maybe just something to start us off. Drop your comments down below. What do you think? What would you like to see in the Bronco? What are some things that are frustrating you? And keep it positive. So I'm going to put this also in the Bronco 6G and some other forums. But again, even over there, please, let's keep it positive. Be kind to one another, and let's talk about this and have some fun with this. And let's let the Bronco brand team know what your guys' passion is and what you'd like to see, because they are listening. That's why they brought back the base trim. And so if you want any more two doors, let's let them know what are you looking for in a Bronco that's important to you, and what you'd like to see. Is it a price point? Because one of the things that we've noticed at Long MacArthur is that Bronco needs to be under $50,000 for us to sell it. That's kind of that we found that is the price. If you go back to this, if you look at this here, the prices of some of these, right? When you go base with the Sasquatch package, you're $49,900. When you go, again, front and rear locker costs you $8,000, right? But that's fine. You get a nice wheel and a tire and a great gear ratio. Big Ben, right? You're $42,000. When you add the Black Diamond package, guess what? You're right at $50,000. Even a Sasquatch, you're basically right at $50,000 as well, right? Again, those sell. Outer Banks trim level. With a destination, you're right at $50,000. So I can get into an Outer Banks with mid package for right at $50,000 when Ford throws in a rebate or two. Now we're under $50,000. Badlands, $48,890. $2,000 for destination, you're $50,890. Front and rear locker standard, and get in two-door or four-door right at $50,000. Again, $50,000. That is the secret sauce. Ford knows what it is. The Heritage Edition, you're $51,600. Add $2,000 destination, you're $53,600. Should be available in two-door or four-door, in my opinion. But when you start throwing in some rebates, you can get it real darn close to $50,000. So this is where people are buying Broncos. This is the price level that they're looking at, right? I mean, I'm a person, I'm looking Badlands, right? Or maybe an RTR. They're saying that the RTR will come in under Badlands price. I really hope so. It needs to be under $50,000 for both the Sasquatch and the non-Sasquatch edition, in my opinion, if you want to sell them. So maybe low 50s, right? But so we'll see where that comes in. RTR somewhere in here, but that's kind of, as a dealer, that's one thing we've seen. Where are you at? Where's your price limit, right? Kind of throw that down there, which is where I was going that direction. But hopefully this does make some sense. Hopefully you guys liked it. And don't forget, when you do get a Bronco or Bronco Sport from Long MacArthur Ford, we pay for your travel expenses to Bronco Off-Roadeo. So Ford does pay for that off-roadeo experience that for one person. You do have a deposit, can't do anything about that, but we want to help with the expenses to get there. We know flights, hotels, all this stuff is expensive, right? We want to pay for $1,000 of that. And most people have been out taking us up on that and been able to go to the Vegas one or the Texas one, and even Tennessee for under $1,000. So we want to pay for that expenses, kind of help that cost. So you can go to Bronco Off-Roadeo because we think it is a great experience. I've been 6 times. We think it's a great experience. Learn how to use your Bronco, learn what those GOAT modes do, learn what the rear locker does for you, front locker, all those things, the trail turn assist, right? All those things by going to Bronco Off-Roadeo so that you can join the Bronco community and join us on the trails as well. So that's what we have for this week. Make sure you stay positive, be kind to one another, be kind to yourself, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.